This is Minutes with Coach. And so today we have on a special guest, a friend of mine, and also entrepreneur and leader in his realm of what he is doing in life, along with a father and husband. And I'd like to definitely welcome this time, Matt Berrier. I appreciate you being on. Matt, can you definitely engage with some of the folks that are watching right now? We are on 3 platforms, YouTube, and we're on Live Meet along with Periscope. So, Matt, please express to the people that are watching a little bit about yourself, if you can.
Yeah, ready, Frank. Thank you for having me. I started this journey in 2016, actually just a few months ago, and I encourage anyone listening to just jump. They say if you're afraid to jump, just jump afraid. And, that's so true. And, I just started a YouTube channel. Look up Matt Berrier. It's Berrier with an E, Berrier. And Mr. Nobody. You just type in Mr. Nobody, Matt Berrier. You should find my videos. But, it's just something small that I wanted to do on the side. And I procrastinated for so long because I didn't have the right equipment. Didn't have the perfect camera, the perfect lighting. And then finally one day, I was just like, I'm just going to take my phone and just start recording. I don't care if it's perfect. I just took the first step, and here we are today. And I'm honored to be a part of your network, and really humbled to be on your show.
Definitely, I appreciate that, man. For a lot of people that are watching, definitely understand that Mr. Matt Berrier and myself have a history now together, because he once started a program that still exists today, and it's a conference call that we typically press every single Friday morning. For me, it's 6 o'clock. For them, it's 8 o'clock in the morning on the Eastern Standard Time. And so, going on to your Facebook account, can you please tell people, not just share with people your Facebook? Where can they find you on Facebook? Can they have to just look up your name, Matt Berrier?
Yep, Matt Berrier, MattBerrier.
So there it is. So you have full engagement with an individual, an iconic individual, a social media outlet that's bringing a definite approach, a great approach to personal development as well as professional development. And now I want to talk a little bit about your company, man. The company that you guys have that you're involved with, Torocom, which is what I loved about it is that motto. We don't follow standards, we define them. And when I seen that, I was really captivated by it, man. Because when you hear that, I'm like, woo! Because my career, in my book, Redefining You, that's coming out, and You Owe Yourself, is redefining the purpose that you have in life. You know what I'm saying? And so I seen that, and it just really grabbed my attention. So where did that come from, man?
So, it started a few years back with me and 4 other individuals. We started in a closet. And, everybody in the online advertising space was doing the same thing. And they built an industry around online ads. And, they were a lot more prevalent years ago, where, you get a pop-up and you see a bunch of links to different ads, and typically you just close it down. But there was a whole industry just following the same standard, and we never understood it. It just didn't make sense to us how people were advertising online. And so we said, hey, we saw the problem, and that's huge in today's age, as far as if you're trying to start a business, I highly recommend that your business solves the problem. What's in it for the customer, the client, and you have to solve a problem to really have any business take off. And we solved the problem of not knowing who your online ads were going to, and even to this day, if you advertise on Google Analytics or any online advertising platform, your ads are just going out to anybody in a certain zip code, or people that are interested in automobiles, or you just kind of pick a demographic on who you want to target. You don't really know who your ad is going to. So we patented a technology that allows anyone to give us a specific address, a name and an address, and we deliver your ad. And these are banner ads. These are the ads on the top of most any website. If you go to ESPN.com, there'll be an ad at the top and the side of that page.
Right.
But now we're the only company in the world that you can give us a physical address, and we will put your ad on the top of any website that person at that address goes to. So it's just very hyper accurate, hyper targeted, and we're redefining the online advertising space.
I like that, man. What can you one more time, because I want everybody to definitely get engaged with your company. What is the company called again?
El Toro, ELTORO.com.
eltoro.com. Definitely redefining the IP address in the world. Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome,
man.
We
in layman's terms, we take a physical address and we convert it into an IP address, which is just the digital version of a physical address.
I love that. That's really awesome, man. I love that. All right, man. So, are you ready? Are you ready for the questions, man?
I hope so, brother. I hope so. Let's go.
All right, man. Well, with 2017 coming in and all the viewers that are out there, it's about redefining you each and every single day. It's a continuous process, but in the process of life, it's about growth. It's about how much that you water yourself, how much sunshine you get, and how many of the sun rays that you apply to your body that allows you to grow. And so with that, it's getting engaged. It's definitely taking it to the next level and defining yourself for tomorrow. So with that, one thing that I want to ask, man, for yourself, number one question is, what do you see for yourself in 2017?
Great question. I've envisioned us selling the company in 2017. That's really what I'm focused on in 2017 is growing the business and putting us in a position to sell the company. And along with that, as far as, speaking, I see myself speaking on stage, and it goes along with just the model of inspiration, inspiring others, helping others achieve their dreams. So, I have a clothing line, I have an audio series that I want to put out, and it's about, to me, just wearing these beliefs, because belief is a principle that I try to follow, because when you believe in something so strong, it turns into reality. But a lot of times we get so caught up with different things throughout the day that take us off course, that change our vibration. But if we're wearing our beliefs, if we're constantly seeing that in the mirror, it's hard to forget that, and it's hard to get taken off course. So, I want to bring this to the market, and you do an excellent job of it, with your Kazan brand. And, I think it's very, very powerful to always see these constant visuals, these motivation, quotes and words that help us reach our goals. Because like I said, there's so many distractions just in the day-to-day with the job, with the boss, with, your spouse. But, if you have that constant belief system, that reminder that you're seeing on your shirt, on your hat, in your car, if you're listening to it and, on a podcast, on your drive home instead of the radio, I think that really helps focus us and keep us on that path that we were destined to be on.
Yeah, I'm going to back up on something, man, because, what you said earlier, about selling your business, for you selling your business, that's definitely going to put you in a different bracket and move you to doing something else. Let's just say, hypothetically, man, if a buyer came in the market and bought your company, let's say in February, What would you say yourself doing after that though, for 2017?
I'm buying real estate. I'm investing. I'm buying as much real estate as I can. I'm investing in other people. I'm just living off of that. I want to travel, but I'm not going to stop with my passion, and that is helping other people. And selling the company is going to allow me to follow my dream.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that. That's awesome. It's exceptional, very exceptional. I appreciate you sharing that. All right, man. So, question number 2: what brings Matt Berrier happiness? What brings you absolute happiness?
I kind of talked about it, and really, it's been a principle in my life. And last night, it really brought it to the surface when I was speaking to an individual, and we hadn't spoke for a few weeks, and he's actually a mechanic, and I needed some help with my car, and I actually had already got it fixed, so I didn't need his help anymore. But we just started just some small talk, and I invited him to our conference call we do every Friday. I said, hey, we should go out and have lunch sometime, and I just want to learn about you and just see if there's anything I can do to help you out. And that's one thing that I think that we were put on this earth to do. And, that is, as far as the reason we're here, is to show and to give your contribution to others. What have you contributed to other people to help them reach their goals? And I think that that's a big part of why we're here on earth. It's not about me. It's about others. It's about helping others. And I strongly believe that. And that's really what brings me happiness. 100%. When I see that light bulb go off, or when I help someone reach a certain goal, or just talking to somebody, a friend that is just kind of down, their vibration is low, talking to them and getting off the phone call and then texting me later the next day, hey, you know what, thank you so much for that talk yesterday, it really helped me out. Or, on our conference calls every Friday, somebody's going through a hard time, they need to find a job, and we're praying and meditating on them finding a job, and then that next week, they call back in and say, I had 2 job offers. I mean, there's no better happiness than that. Seeing my friends and my family succeede.
I like that. Others. I like that, man. I definitely like that, man, because I mean, ultimately, you're living Martin Luther King's desire and dream, and is one of his famous quotes that I've inherited into my life is the most urgent and persistent question should always be asked is, what have I done for others? And that's so true, man, because I mean, even in biblical time, you hear Christ that definitely distinguished that. He says, to love thy neighbor as thyself. And that's one of the second greatest commandments that ever be given, along with laws to ever exist, is to love your fellow man. Do more for others, or do unto others you want done unto you. The golden rule that many great teachers and educators and philosophers that really push that golden rule on a lot of folks, and how today's market has forgotten that. Today's culture has forgotten that. And I can only hope that with what you're doing, and when you get to that opportunity where you're on stage, that you're teaching, preaching, and coaching from the elementary schools all the way through the universities and in corporate America, that they're definitely understanding that value, because that value of the golden rule should never be forgotten. It should be something that's always impressed on what we do every single time. I mean, I like that, man. I definitely really respect you wanting to help other people, man. That's something that a lot of people should definitely take account of. I like that, Matt. Appreciate it, man. All right, so let's get into question number 3. How do you feel about today's this is kind of like a not so much political, but kind of your view, your personal view on how do you feel about education?
Oh man, Yeah, we could go on. This would be a whole nother topic. Sure. You know, to be honest, as far as the public schooling, the public education system here, I'm in Louisville, Kentucky. It's the reason that I put my kid just this year in private school. And I was blessed to have the opportunity to do that because I just saw so much, lacking in the school system and in the education system today. And, there's certain things that I think, fundamentally that we should know. But as far as preparing our youth, the generation that's going to lead us when we're old and gray, I don't feel like we're preparing them for the future like we should. And when I think back, some of the books that the schools had me read, for the summer reading programs, there were good books, How to Kill a Mockingbird. There are different, books that are good books. But as far as if I was in control, if I had to help make a decision on a book to read, you talk about it a lot, but, books on King Solomon, books on relationships, books on, entrepreneurship, something as simple as, books on how to fix and maintain your car and change your oil. I just feel like there's not enough, real life values put into the school system. And, the angles of an isosceles triangle, things like that where I just don't see much application for it. And there's like I said, if you want to be a scientist or a mathematician or, there's certain things where, you definitely need to know things like, the angles of an isosceles triangle. But, I just don't think it's as important as, real world, how to build relationships and become an entrepreneur and provide for the world and your family.
Yeah, I think I really believe that you're onto something, man. And I know that this question could definitely take off and go on a huge journey. We could be here for hours speaking about this, if not days. But one thing that you brought up, and I'll bring this up this moment because you talked about the books in the school system, even in the university school system, that a lot of that brought a lot of meaning. And I brought that up this morning that it really is very very intriguing to see certain authors and certain information. I mean, like this morning, I brought up a great book by Mark Twain, and that's Huckleberry Finn, along with John Steinbeck, and that's Mice and Men. And then another book I'm holding in my hand that I actually have all three of the books in my hand, but the other book is Green Eggs in Ham by Dr. Seuss, because the morals that were behind them, it wasn't just the story. And today, as a bibliophile, you definitely start to describe, you start to get engaged with some of these authors, and you start to see the true moral reason behind them. Like, for instance, looking back on Green Eggs and a Ham, I mean, the moral story was he was very persistent. He wanted this individual to try it, to definitely try it. And so the moral story is you definitely got to try new things in life. You can't just be stagnant. You can't be mediocre. You cannot be that average individual. And that's one thing that's why that book's still in my library. I mean, that's a third grade, first grade reading level, but yet the moral of it, a lot of people miss, even in the university world. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, the book and the author are substantial, and that's why it's in my library. And when I talk about the other two authors, John Steinbeck, Mice and Men, and Mr. Mark Twain with Huckleberry Finn, just great orientation of education right there. And I appreciate that, because I mean, I'm a product of the environment, and I'm a product of what was once told me, that I had I was educational deprived. Is basically how they put it, because I moved so much in my life that I never had stability. I never had a true foundation of a strong education surrounding, nor did I have a father. So I mean, listen to what you said, man. It makes absolute sense, man. That you definitely got to engage in the literature and really apply it to your life. I like that.
Yeah, something I would love to start is a book club for elementary, high school students, and they have these mandatory readings for summer. That they give to most of the kids before they go to the the next grade. They want you to read this book, and they give you a test on it. When you get back to school. But I mean, people like Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. I never heard about that book in school. I mean, books on Plato and Socrates and the dialogue. Books that I really think you can apply to the real world. I don't think there's enough of that in the school system today. So.
Yeah, I second you on that. Let's get into question number 4, man. Where do you stand today opposed to 5 years ago? Where do you stand today?
Wow. We're gonna get deep on this one, Frank. 5 years ago. Wow. 2011. So I haven't really talked about this much, man. To be honest with you, and I hope this resonates with anybody listening out there. But 5 years ago, I was on unemployment. 5 years ago, the sense of urgency just was not there. And this is a whole nother topic here. But 5 years ago, I still had my daughter. And again, that's a whole nother story there. I lost my daughter in 2013. But 5 years ago, I had a backup plan. I had a safety net. And until I removed that safety belt, my focus just wasn't as strong. And if you think about it, now. If you're driving a car, and I don't recommend this, but if you take your seatbelt off, you're more aware. When you're driving without that, without that safety belt on, you're a lot more aware. And when I took that safety net out from under me, that's when things took flight. And I think that's the problem with I would say at least half of the population here in the U.S., especially those on unemployment right now, is, you're caught between a rock and a hard place. And then the crazy thing about that whole system is that, unemployment insurance, you get a certain amount every single week. However, if you go to work and you're working and you make $200 through whatever job that is you're working, they take that $200 out of your unemployment check. So it's almost like you're working for free. I mean, in a sense it is. You're working for the same amount of money. So what kind of incentive does that give anyone on unemployment to go out and find a job? So, back to that safety belt, I took it off and I took the jump. And, I went through, it was right about $15,000 of my savings that my wife and I had saved up. And that's all we had. That was our life savings. I cashed in my silver. There were some months I was paying the company rent that month with my savings because we hadn't made it yet. And, I just jumped in with both feet, and I believed in something so strong until it happened. And it's about that heart that I had and the belief. You have to have what I say, a heart of a bear. Some people say a heart of a lion, a wolf, a tiger. But you have to have a heart that's so strong and an unshakable belief system. And, here we are today with ElToro.com. And right now, as far as today compared to then, it's not really so much about belief anymore because it turned into reality. And, each small win that I was believing in that turned into a win was fuel that I needed to keep going. And, even each setback that I experienced, it was a learning experience. just that journey of faith and that mindset of belief, just knowing that one day we'll have a mini Google, and that five guys, like I said, would flip an industry on its head. And I think just that heart and that mind has to be one. And you talk about it a lot, but it's not just about the mind, about the belief system. It's also about your heart too. They have to be connected, and when it is, magic happens. I'm a living testament.
Yeah, definitely agree, man. Yeah, that's awesome. And I know that in the past you've shared, a brief, testament of what taken place back then, and I'm glad that you've done that. That's what's kept us, actually, for those watching, it's kept a great bond between Mr. Berrier and myself. All right, so now question number 5, man. Think real quick, man. What 3 keys do you need for a successful business? What 3 keys?
Well, one of them definitely, off the top of my head, I kind of touched on earlier, but I think it's so important. I mean, I've spent years just thinking about this and researching it, and I found that I think one of the most important traits of a successful business is it solves a problem, and you have to solve a problem. You can't just do what everybody else is out there doing. You have to actually solve a problem that somebody's going through. And if you can't think of an idea, if you're an entrepreneur or you're trying to get into entrepreneurship and you're like, what should I do? Just think about problems that you face every day. And if you can solve one of those problems, I'm telling you, somebody else is going through that same problem. So, like I said, without that, you won't be able to answer the question that everyone's going to ask you, and they're going to ask you, what's in it for me? And, knowing the problem you solve makes answering that question so much easier. So one of the most important traits is just solve a problem and go from there. The second one, I guess I can, say I touched on earlier as well is belief and heart. I know that's 2 things there, but I think they're both, both one and the same as far as you have to have both. And, through the ups and the downs, you have that belief system, you have that strong heart, that drive that you're going to make it. If you don't maintain that mental visual goal, you're not going to make it. You're gonna fall short every single time. And a lion does not back down. A lion does not give up. The heart of a lion is, to me, it's the heart of a champion. So if you don't have that heart, if you don't have that passion for what you're doing, it's going to be so easy to fall off. And then,
I totally agree.
I guess the third, and it's a huge trait, is surrounding yourself with positive, motivated, hungry beasts. And when I say beasts, I mean people like you, people that are on this Friday conference call that we do every Friday at 8 a.m. These people are hungry. These people are motivated. And like I said, I lost my daughter in 2013, and she passed away. And I know for a fact that I wouldn't have made it through that tragedy for it not have been for one, God, but secondly, for the people that I surrounded myself with. And the 3 things I mentioned, the belief, solving a problem, and just the family and support system I had around me kept me going. And if I wasn't solving a problem at that time, if I didn't have something to keep my mind going, I'd be walking around, I'd say lost with not much of a purpose, but knowing I was on the verge of solving a huge problem in the advertising space, that was a huge motivation for me. And over everything else, God and that support system, that accountability group that I had really kept me just level-headed. And, I strongly recommend if anybody listening does not have just one accountability partner, get with me, get with Frank. Get on, I invite you to our Friday conference call. Contact me and I'll invite you in. But having that accountability group, having a group you can talk to, you can share things with, is so huge, because I think it just propels that human connection and that human touch that we need to stay motivated and inspired. Because, think about it. You're holed up in a cell or in a desk, not talking to anybody all day, all week, all month. I mean, that's nowhere the way to live. And, being able to actually talk with someone, that human connection, there's something just so powerful with just being able to engage with just one person. So highly recommend that you get into a circle, a group of like-minded individuals. Accountability partners is what I call them.
I like that. Okay, cool, man. Awesome. Yeah, definitely. I could definitely see that in the success realm of having a great business. I think ultimately what I'm definitely really pushing towards for me and my business with Coaching Beyond is to definitely have that vision, a faith-based vision, along with great authenticity or authentic characterization, along with that continuous knowledge for our company and what we're doing. It's definitely, I want to stay in that same realm for 2017. It's kind of where I was at for 2016 and a bit for 2015. But I definitely want to encourage more and go in an extra level of effort in 2017 for our business. And man, I thank you so much for that, man. All right, man. Let's get into number 6, man. Number 6 is, well, what is your mission statement for life? What is your mission statement? For me, it's empowering tomorrow's leaders, and I'm very, very adamant about that. From the home to the community to when I do speaking engagements to even my book. Like I'm looking, when I'm done with both of my books this year of 2017, possibly 3, I'm looking at definitely empowering tomorrow's leaders. That's what I'm absolutely looking forward to, man. And so what is your mission statement?
Yeah, so something that just came to me real quick, and I just want to touch on, because I think it's just so powerful, and it's really what helped propel me to get to where I am today. And I think it will help a lot of people is just belief, and touching on that, because when you lose belief and heart, I feel like you lose small wins, and you lose your goal. You lose your dream reality. That belief that you're going to make 100K this year, or I know a lot of people are coming up with New Year's resolutions, but you lose after a couple hurdles that you're facing. A lot of people lose that belief that they're going to lose 20 pounds, or that your wife or your spouse is the one and only. Belief that things are going to get better no matter what you're going through. Just trusting that process, knowing on the other side of darkness there's so much beauty, and there are things that I don't know, man. There's things that happen to us in life that I feel like we must overcome, and until we face what haunts us. Some people may say, until you face your demons, they'll keep showing up. And I feel like there's lessons that we must learn while we're here on earth. And if we're not learning from these lessons and just listening to the synchronicities, we talk about it a lot, but, the synchronicities that the universe wants us to see, if you don't see those, then I feel like you're not grasping what God has intended for your life here in this existence. And so I just encourage you to believe, don't be scared, have heart. And just a quick story, real quick. In elementary school, this kind of speaks on that heart. But You know, there was a kid, and I've never talked about this before, but there was a kid that wanted to fight me for some weird reason. You know, I didn't deserve it. It was just something really petty, and he was just a bully wanting to pick a fight, and I avoided it. And I just thought to myself, you know, I'm just a loving person. Why would somebody want to fight? Like, I just don't get it. And throughout my years going through school, I always avoided fighting, man. And people kind of looked at me as like a punk, or, you know, but in my head, I'm like, you know what? You know, why would I want to hurt someone else? And later in life, you know, I realized that one of the lessons that God put in front of me was I'm going to have to fight. I'm going to have to be that lion and stand up. And I don't encourage fighting, but there was a period in my life where I was fighting, and I never, ever started a fight. But what was the difference from when I was younger until now, or, you know, years ago, was I actually stood up for myself. And, you know, there were times where somebody, you know, they actually, you know, threw something at my wife, or I had to stand up for someone. And I never, ever started a fight, but I was finishing fights and standing up for what I believed in and my principles. And then that was just a lesson I feel like God had put in front of me. I needed to overcome it, and I needed to at least fight a couple times to overcome just that feeling of thinking, you know what, all these years, you know, everybody told me I am a punk. Well, guess what? I know I'm not a punk, and now I'm going back into my loving, positive ways where, hey, I know I can fight right now, but I'm going to avoid it and take the higher road. So I just wanted to touch on that because, you know, I think a lot of people go through things as a kid that really haunt them in their later years. And sometimes you just got to face that demon. And once you do, it's so hard, but once you do, you're going to fall back into your true self and just be a lot more comfortable with your true self. So, yeah. But back, what you said,
okay, so, you know, what is your absolute mission statement for the day?
I would say, you know, I say it a lot on my videos, but it's not about the last 7 days, it's about the next 7 days. And it takes on different meanings as the weeks go by, but it's really about never giving up. You know, you say it a lot, but it's about redefining yourself and not letting the past define who you are. And you can even take it, you know, a step further and apply it to there's always somebody out there gunning for your spot. You see it in sports, you see it in the real world with, you know, just jobs. And in the moment you think you can take off and slack, stop learning, stop grinding, it's the day you get passed up, you know, in the weight room, on the court, in the office, you know, much like, you know, the word you reference a lot, Kaizen, continuous improvement. You know, there's many parallels in both, I guess, schools of thought, but you can't rest on the last 7 days, and I emphasize that so much. You have to keep learning. You have to find that burning desire to learn, to get better, and many of us, you know, we're doing that through our lives and through our passions in life. So, you know, again, it's not about the last 7 days. You know, if you slip up and you don't go to the gym, you know, you have to move forward. It's not about that. It's about next week. Next week I'm going to grind. Next week I'm getting in the weight room every single day. And I think if people can apply that to their life in 2017, it's going to really help them out, because I think that stops people from doing what they need to do, because they say, oh, you know, man, I'm kind of in a rut. I didn't work out, or I didn't study or read last week. But guess what? There's always next week.
Interesting, man. I appreciate you sharing that. Definitely, man. All right. So as we come out to a close, man, I gotta ask you, for you right now, what is your why? What is your why?
Ooh, that's another deep one, Frank. I want to tell you what my why was before this year. I just found a new why, and my why had always been for me. It was for me, and it was a selfish why. And I feel like that was really holding me back, and that holds a lot of us back from reaching our full potential. But, you know, my why for so long was, you know, how much money can I make, and the material things that I can buy, and the cars and the houses. And just this year, that what got me to the next level was turning my why on other people. You know, why I did this, why I get up every morning. Excuse me. It's for my kids. It's for you, Frank. It's for people that listen to my show. Because before, it was so easy to just not get up early or to not grind. Because it was for me. I don't really need that car, or do I really need that extra money? You know, now, you know, my kids, if I don't make what I have to make, they're not gonna be able to go to the school and get the proper education that they need. You know, I have people like you relying on me every week, and that is just so much of a stronger why. To know that if I don't keep pushing, I'm letting a lot of people down. And, you know, it kind of goes into that accountability group that I encourage everyone to get into. You know, you start making your why about other people, it's going to put you in a different bracket. So that's my why.
I like that. I like that, man. Oh, man, so with having 3 minutes left, man, I got to ask you as we come to a close, closing this year out with 24 hours left, man, is it creed? Is it resolution for you, or is it a promise for you for 2017 on what you're going to do?
Oh, man, it's a promise. It's a promise.
I like that. It's that promise. That promise is something that I hold very sacred. As I mentioned, you know, to a lot of people, like I made a promise to myself on my knees in front of the mirror, saying, I promise I'm going to do these certain things, and this is what I'm going to give up. And I got absolutely engaged, because a promise is that declaration. It's an independence, and you know, that independent assurance of this is what I want. And everybody knows you have to have insurance today, whether it's on your car, your health, whatever it is, you have insurance. And so there's a reason. It's because it's a declaration. You must have it, and it feels good when you have it. When you get in an accident, it feels good when you got to call the car companies, you know, Progressive or any one of those, Geico, any one of those insurance companies fixing your car. It's that insurance. And the same thing, like I used to say, man, because I'll admit, man, I used to bicker when I used to have to pay my insurance, and it was like $120 or whatever. I used to bicker. You know, now it's like $27 that I pay because I haven't gotten in a car accident. I'm saying, like, I used to bicker. I used to get upset, but it was because it was a peace of mind. And that's the same thing with my insurance today, and with your insurance for 2017 as you head into there, Mr. Berrier, is you're definitely looking at that promise. It's you know what? It's not there, but it's something of a declaration that you made for yourself. It's the insurance. It's the peace of mind of going into 2017 that you set something in stone and you're about to make some things happen. So, man, I appreciate you. I definitely appreciate you being on today, man. And I definitely look forward to the future of 2017 and what it brings for you. And I always, you're always welcome, man. And here in the future, we'll definitely get the opportunity to welcome you back on a Minutes with Coach, and we'll go forward from there, man. As far as everybody else out there in the social media world, I appreciate you guys being on. My name is Coach Frank Sagasta, and this is Minutes with Coach, and I'll see you guys a little later.
Ooh, let's go.